When you're working with your model, occasionally the polygons, because that's what we're talking about here, the polygons start to stretch. So an example of polygons that are stretching is in the mouth here. You can see there's basically no more polygons to describe some kind of internal form for either the upper or the lower lip. Whereas in the corner of the eye here, we've got actually quite a few polygons. So we've got a new way of working with this type of situation in the new ZBrush. So I'm going to turn polyframe off, zoom out, and I've opened up the geometry tab. The important thing to keep in mind is that because we selected a project, it was a very specific project we selected, default DynaWax. That means that we're in something called DynaMesh mode. Okay, we're going to be in DynaMesh mode for a little bit, but DynaMesh mode is really about establishing the overall form. So it's about establishing, the general shape, the fact that we're going to have a nose coming out, and the overall cranial proportions and things like that. Once you've got those, there's really little reason to be, well, there are lots of reasons, I should say, to be in DynaMesh. But we're going to exit DynaMesh and get into just normal sculpting and limit our exposure to problems. DynaMesh is what we're in right now. It's what you should be in. And so the way that we're going to recalculate the geometry is to press Control, click and drag outside of the model and turn polyframe on. And you can see now in those lips we've got a lot more to describe, the geometry of what's going on there. A lot more. So now we can turn polyframe off and we can go back to sculpting. And we're going to take this as far as we can. We might DynaMesh a few more times, but let's take this as far as we can, and then we'll move forward. So I'm going to use a standard brush, press Alt, and I'm starting to define features. So in terms of the mouth, I need to establish the line of the lip, and then what's called the marionette lines. That's what the plastic surgeons call them. And the marionette line is really important, and I treat it as just a simple straight line down. I'm just pressing Alt and pushing in. I can smooth either side if I want, but just like anything else, I avoid smoothing across the line. Okay. Smooth out that upper lip. Just tapping here. And from a side view, we're doing okay. I feel like I should select the Move brush, move the lips down a little bit. So I'm pressing S to increase my draw size. There we go. And I'm giving the nose a little bit more room. A little bit more room to breathe. There we go. Back into the standard brush. And now we have to separate out some forms. Okay, there's a lot of confusing stuff going on. So all I've got right now is the lip that's just going shoom, 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 right in without any kind of rhyme or reason as to what's going on. So I need to cut in a few places, and anatomy, of course, is really important to know. But basically, we're going to take the upper lip and assume that it's going to be this kind of crescent shape. We're going to have nodules at the side. We're going to have a line coming in that's separating, and maybe, let's go, do we want to go all the way to the nasal labial fold? Yeah. And then we want to be thinking about muscle fibers, if that's what we're familiar with. If not, just think about directionality and work towards establishing a certain directionality for that muscle, for the forms there. So the key ones are that you need to have the down plane, you need to have the up plane, that's really the upper and lower lip, but I'm referring to them as planes. Okay, you need to have the muzzle of the mouth. You need to have that upper lip. We're going to need to have the nodule. Okay, and then we're going to need to have this structure I don't even have a name for that lower lip. Okay, with that said, first thing I do with the standard brush is start to pull in the separation of the nodule, not module. And I'm just going to start to, I'm really going to work to make that upper lip a little less dominant. Okay, I'm going to add a little Control, click and drag to recalculate. Okay, we're working with it where it's smoothing things out right now. So that's par for the course, and it's good for us. Okay, lip. Nostril. Okay, don't let those nostrils flare out too much, so switch to the move brush. Check them and make sure everything's working the way you want, and then go back to the standard brush. Actually, I'm going to switch back to move. I'm going to lift the nostrils. There we go. Alright. And now I don't want to recalibrate. I don't want to press Control, click, and drag, because see what happens? My lips go away. So I don't really need to do that, so I'm going to avoid doing it right now. And I'm going to move on. I'm going to get the nasolabial fold, the nose. I'm going to just get the side plane. Okay. I've messed that up. One of the things you got to be careful of when smoothing. So I'm going to undo all of that. I like the structure that I've got right there. It's much better. And I'm still in standard brush doing what I can. But we need to really move on to the eye here. I need to get some work in there. I need a good strong eyeball. So we're going to stay in DynaMesh for that part. And I'm going to switch brushes. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to introduce you to a new brush, clay. Clay is a great brush for coming in, and you see how it just adds form so nice and clean. Doesn't even matter what the topology is, it just really gets in there and just adds it nicely. Okay, that's what we're going to learn how to control in the next section.